Hello, good evening. I hope you're well. It's been raining today, so I was just thinking of a little singing in the rain. I'm singing in the rain, I'm singing in the rain. No, well, actually, I wanted to discuss a bit of Frankenstein with you. So Frankenstein. And Frankenstein was a large 8-foot monster, green in appearance, made of different body parts. And his creator, Victor, was the protagonist. The main person involved in, of course, he studied science, and he took body parts from the dead and created a monster. He pretended to be God, and we're going to see some extract and analysis of the monster in Mary Shelley's book. Okay, so I just want to show you the monster, so I'll share a quick screen if I can. Got There's a monster. Notice he's green. He's rather statuette looking, very rough. He's got some bleeding. He's got a bolt through his neck. He's stitched together or made of different body parts. And he's described in the book as hideous. He is a creature at the beginning, but turns into a monster after the way, mainly the way he was treated by Victor and by others. The monster ends up killing people. But in one of the questions I've seen, the monster is kind of like a figure that we are motivated as the reader to feel sorry for or to appreciate. And that was Mary Shelley's intention, to create a paradox between the creature who was created out of different body parts without a free will, who has no parents or family, to a monster who kills out of revenge. Yet the big monster is very kind to a little girl whom he rescues from a lake whilst she's almost drowning. But if I now, at this particular point, get up for you, in fact, I'll probably read it as well, one of the exam questions. And one of the exam questions is basically, you're required to read a chapter or extract of Frankenstein, and in particular chapter 24, and then answer a question that follows. Now, in the extract, near the end of the novel, the monster is described by Mary Shelley as having killed Victor, and is talking about Victor's death to Robert Walton. The next part of the question that follows is as follows, for 30 marks. How does Shelley present the monster in this extract? Part 2, how far Shelley presents the monster as a victim to be pitied in the novel as a whole. So therefore, we are motivated, as I said earlier, to pity the monster. Let's see why. In the extract as follows: but it is true that I am a wretch. I have murdered the lovely and the helpless. I have strangled the innocent as they slept, and grasped to death his throat who never injured me, nor any other living thing. I have devoted my Creator, the select specimen of all that is worthy of love and admiration amongst men, to misery. I have pursued him even to the irremediable ruin. There he lies, white and cold in death. So that's the first part of the extract. The monster is admitting that he has done wrong. And what a better example of a figure or human, or indeed a monster, to admit they have done wrong. as that makes them more of a respected character, if you like. Okay? He calls himself a wretch. Well, he was called a wretch, a hideous creature, an animal by Victor. So perhaps that reference to a wretch is that he's agreeing with Victor as that Victor lies dead. Now the monster has no one to relate to anymore as he has no family. Remember, the female monster was destroyed by Victor, and therefore the only close semblance of relationship of the monster is to Victor. Okay. So the monster talks of his irremediable ruin, and that of the creator Victor, and realizes at the end that is it really worth this revenge towards his creator, as in the end he has created a disliking for himself, and humanity dislikes now the monster. However, he's very articulate and he can communicate very, very well to people like Robert Walton, who listens attentively as the monster speaks. All right. And if we go back, I could possibly see if I could share something else. Okay, here we've got the extract, and I went up to line 6. All right. So let's continue. You hated me, but your abhorrence cannot equal that with which I regard myself. I look on the hands which executed the deed. I think on the heart in which the imagination of it was conceived, and long for the moment when these hands will meet my eyes, when that imagination will haunt my thoughts no more. Now, imagination's repetition. There's a lot of emotive language conceived, for example, meet my eyes, metaphorical, abhorrence, okay, emotive, and the monster is regretful or remorseful for his actions. Let's continue. Fear not that I shall not be the instrument of future mischief. Oh, so the monster is saying, he's giving an indication that his death is imminent. He won't be able to cause any more misery. My work is nearly complete. Neither yours nor any man's death is needed to consummate the series of my being and accomplish that which must be done, but it requires my own. So he's emphasizing the point that he has to deal with himself and ultimately deal with his own death. Do not think that I shall be slow to perform the sacrifice. I shall quit your vessel on the ice raft which brought me thither, and shall seek the most northern extremity of the globe. I shall collect my funeral pile and consume to ashes this miserable frame, that its remains may afford no light to any curious and unhallowed wretch who would create such another as I have been. So the monster is kind of like making reference to Gothic symbolism and the fact that he regards himself as a horrible and destructive being. Mary calls him the monster, but we could perhaps now refer back to him as a creature because he's remorseful. I shall die. I shall no longer feel the agonies which now consume me, or be the prey of feelings unsatisfied yet unquenched. Oh, shame. So he is really remorseful. He is dead who called me into being. That's the reference to Victor. And when I shall be no more, the very remembrance of us both will speedily vanish. I shall no longer see the sun or stars, or feel the wind play on my cheeks. So, the monster was very much a human. Many of the feelings of humans are likewise. Light, feeling, and sense will pass away, and in this condition must I find my happiness. Some years ago, when the images which this world affords first opened upon me, when I felt the cheering warmth of summer, and heard the rustling of the leaves and the warbling of the birds. And these were all to me. So that's something new for the first time, that he felt this. And remember, as a creature, he was already a fully grown resemblance of a human. He wasn't a baby, but he had to learn how to speak. He had to learn English, French, and a number of other languages. He had to learn about his world. I should have wept to die. Now it is my only consolation, polluted by crimes and torn by the bitterest remorse. Where can I find result but in death? So the monster speaks clearly of his suicide and his burning and his destruction. Okay, so we can feel sorry for the monster by the fact that he's very remorseful and he's agonizing his actions, but he's lost Victor as well, and he feels for Victor, and he says that Victor was actually someone whom he was close to, although in the end Victor lies dead, as well as many of Victor's family, including William, okay, Elizabeth, etc. So the monster is quite a remarkable creature, if you like. So in a sense, we've answered the first part of the question, and some of the acts that the monster has committed, we can in a way impartially forgive. And he's become more childlike in his huge, humongous state. He's reverted to a child, and he's asking, he's speaking to Walton of the need for change and for forgiveness. And how this might, though, be difficult to forgive in human beings' eyes. Do we, as humans, totally forgive a murderer? As an example, okay? The monster's awareness of his own crimes is quite evident, and the reason for them and how this might create a sense of pity for him, which is certainly something we can do. Victor's ambition, though, was questionable, and he was a bit selfish, and how he unwittingly created something that he then, the creature whom he then abandoned and spurned and insulted and abused, was not good. He could have acted better towards the creature, and the creature probably wouldn't have become a monster. The extent to which the monster is human is very important, as indeed he speaks very clearly of his experiences like the wind on his cheeks, the sunshine, okay, etc. The language that the monster uses is very emotional, very emotive, and we can therefore, from the emotive connotations, feel sorry for him and pity him in the end. And the monster is becoming like a character that we've learned to fear and now to appreciate, as indeed there's not one human who doesn't have his or her faults, as indeed the monster has good points and the monster has bad points. He demonstrates quite clearly his self-awareness and his understanding of what he has done. So the monster is extremely intelligent. Imagery of nature and language are excellently described by Mary Shelley, and in fact are very, very striking, startling, and beautiful. And she really goes to town discussing the natural world in which the creature and indeed Victor grew up in. The ideas of responsibility in terms of Victor and the monster are twofold, and indeed both have faults, and both are equally to blame. Ideas about humanity and being a human being in terms of natural law and progression, Victor should have been much more kinder to the creature and taught him how to be a good creature. Ideas about society and judgment, well, yeah, people are very quick to judge, but particularly people are very quick to look at faults in others. Human beings always do that. So hence are very quick to judge the monster by just his looks, his hideous looks, and abuse him and taunt him and, mock him. Which was wrong, of course, and the ideas of society needs to change as well. So Mary Shelley was also revealing the cruelty of society and its need to change. Ideas about revenge, finally, and the extent to which it can be forgiven and understood is also expunged and brought to light. And revenge is something usually as a consequence of anger. And revenge is usually take a life for a life. And yet that goes contrary to the forgiveness of God, because God himself can forgive murder and all crimes and all sin. So Mary Shelley embellishes a biblical connotation within this book. And for an author to publish a book at age 18 is absolutely astonishing and is really remarkable. So Mary Shelley had a extremely deep and amazing and argumentative text in which she portrayed the paradox between human beings, their wrongness in playing God, and the subsequent consequences of pretending to be something you're not, like, for example, playing God. So in the end, as the monster dies, so the chance for future monsters dies with him. And his death is sad because of the fact that he burns to death and there'll be nothing left of him. And he runs into the ice to be alone, as he always was, really alone. And hence that concludes the analysis of how we should pity the monster in the entire text of Frankenstein. And I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope it contributes very much to your examination questions and your interest in the book Frankenstein. And I hope my points really will help you, and I wish you all the best. So if I end there and try and sing in the rain, okay? Be happy and take care. All the best. Bye.